Listen, this live stream is for adults only. It's for educational and entertainment purposes. Well, hello there, my friend. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Gavin. This is my channel. Here on this channel, we like to cut through the fluff, the sensationalism and true crime, and get into the nitty-gritty of stories that we care about. And today is our first time looking at the murder of Peyton Evelyn and Olivia Decker, ages 9, 8, and 5. Thank you very much to viewers who said, hey, you should look into this one, because this one is extremely sad. I feel like there's stuff that we can learn here, and we've got a manhunt underway because the person who is suspected of ending their little lives is none other than their father, 32-year-old Travis Decker, who remains at large. And because this is the first, by the way, the kiddos, they were last seen on May 30th. He picked them up for a scheduled parenting visit, and then, according to police, he killed them, which is, oh my goodness, it's just, I'm at a loss for words, and the person that I'm most at a loss for words for is their mother, Whitney Decker. I think it's, now that I say that aloud, I may have her. No, I think it is. I think she's going by her, by Decker. Anyway, there are things that we can learn here, but I want to be very careful because it's just very easy for us as members of the gallery, observers, to think and say and do things that are insensitive and unhelpful. I definitely don't want to be guilty of that. So I want to start out by reading. We're going to get into the details of the case. We're going to read the affidavit of probable cause against Mr. Decker. We're going to see a news report from yesterday talking about a possible sighting of Mr. Decker. I'm going to bring up the girls. They are so adorable. Oh my goodness. So adorable. And you can see each one has a separate and distinct little personality. They just heartbreaking. But yeah, so, but before we get into that stuff, I want to read a statement that was put out by a lawyer representing Whitney, okay? Because I think it will set the tone, and I know everybody in this audience is super respectful. We don't want to do anything that would be harmful or hurtful to this bereaving family, right? This hurt and just deeply injured family. So let's join me over here on Acrobat. Let's read this, okay? This is back from the 9th, so it's almost a couple weeks ago. It was reported by Idaho News, and it says, hundreds of law enforcement personnel continue their search for Travis Decker, a man accused of killing his 3 daughters. Again, Decker's former wife and mother to those daughters allowed her lawyer, Ariana Cozart, to release a statement to CBS 2. And the statement reads, bringing you back over, Whitney and Travis were married for a little over 7 years. When they met, Travis had just gotten back from a tour in Afghanistan as an Army Ranger. He seemed to suffer from mental health issues from the very beginning, assumedly, whichever, related to PTSD complex as a result of combat. Travis was not a violent man with Whitney or the girls ever. His mental health struggles led to the crumbling of their marriage in 2022. Travis attempted at times to get help through the VA, that's Veterans Affairs, for those of you outside the United States, but could not jump through all of the hoops they required to actually get help. And this, by the way, for people who are on the libertarian side of things, and I try to stay apolitical, but this is the kind of stuff that they point to as, why are we letting the government do the things the government wasn't designed for? The bureaucracy, the red tape, the everything. But anyway, he could not jump through all the hoops they required to actually get help. When talking with law enforcement about the things that Travis cared about, she said, quote, "Travis loved those girls and Jesus," close quote. Travis was a present and active father up until the end, still attending the girls' soccer games, dance, and theater productions. Although Travis was struggling with his own mental health, he was a good co-parent, always communicating frequently with Whitney up until Friday evening when the girls went missing. He always answered his phone, always communicated if he was on his way or if they were going to be a few minutes late, and always responded to her texts until Friday night. Law enforcement has reported that his phone was turned off around 6 p.m. on Friday evening. As far as I'm aware, this is the lawyer speaking, that has never happened before with Travis. Travis was exhibiting some questionable parental judgment around the end of 2023, beginning of 2024. That prompted Whitney to seek limitations on his parenting time, and she was granted her requests. Information has come to light since the girl's abduction that Travis exhibited concerning behavior at work on Friday and had been trying to utilize emergency veteran services to no avail. Please see the letters from our local Veterans Counseling Office for more details as to the state of those services here in Wenatchee Valley. Unfortunately, this knowledge was not conveyed to Whitney until after the girls went missing, or she would have never allowed the girls to go with him. What many do not seem to understand or perhaps care to believe is that there were no red flags. This is the part that's really important to me. I'm always on the lookout for things that we can learn. What are the signs? What are the symptoms? What are the things that should give us pause? But we need to recognize that in some cases, those red flags don't exist. Maybe in hindsight they might, but I don't know. I just think it's very important for us to recognize this. So what many do not seem to understand or perhaps care to believe is that there were no red flags that would have led Whitney to have concerns with Travis taking the girls for his short visitation, limited to our region. There was no DV ever. Travis did not yell at the girls, or, I'm not going to use that word because of YouTube, them in any way. He was an active and loving father until he wasn't, and no one knows when that changed. To blame Whitney, the courts, or the state Children's Protective Services is a folly. It is also cruel and does nothing to help Whitney or our community. Whitney has 3 things pushing her forward at this moment. She wants the memories of her sweet baby girls honored. She wants the Amber Alert system fixed in Washington state to prevent further tragedies such as this one. And she wants the mental health resources for veterans to be fixed. As Whitney has said, the system failed us all, referencing the services for veterans and the Amber Alert system. And then Task Force said, our community is devastated by this unimaginable loss. In an attempt to turn something tragic into action, we are working on commissioning a task force of local attorneys and interested individuals to take a look at the laws surrounding Amber Alerts, as well as mental health resources available in our valley for veterans. If you have further questions on this and how you can be involved, please contact help@actionfordeckergirls.org. By the way, I want to... No, come on. Give me a second. I want to go to this website real quick with you guys. It's just a one-page website. it basically just says, hey, we're devastated. We want to put together a task force. We want to, and I don't know that it's a step. Anyway, if you want to be involved, you can send an email to help@actionfordeckergirls.org, and then all press related inquiries. It's a very simple website. Okay. Let me get back to what you're seeing. Okay, Decker's lawyer also included a statement from Central Washington Veterans Counseling. If Travis had come to CWVC seeking services within the last 6 months, we would have had no choice but to refer him to the Yakima Vet Center for bi-weekly in-person sessions, possibly supplemented with telehealth, or place him on our wait list due to a lack of funding to support veterans in this area. Meanwhile, we are still without sufficient alternative resources. I can't help but wonder how many veterans in our community might want to seek mental health support but don't even try because they know there are no therapists available at the VA clinic. Central Washington Veterans Counseling is unable to take on new clients due to funding constraints, and community providers are booking 6 months out. This isn't a hidden crisis. We've been vocal about it in the media with the local, state, and federal officials. If we don't get a 3-month extension by the end of this month, we will be discharging 100 veterans as of now from our services. We warned them that we had reached a critical point. We told them lives were at stake. They did nothing. I think when they say them, they're talking about the local, state, and federal officials. So there is a crisis, according to them, with help for veterans who are experiencing mental health crises. Okay, so I wanted to just put that out there. We need to be very sensitive about this whole thing. Okay, all right. Let's next. What do I want to do next? Let's go to this document, okay? Because we're going to be able to kind of be up to date on the whole case. Give me just a second. Okay. So there were 2 affidavits of probable cause that were filed with the court. I want to thank Kelsey, one of our intrepid, I overuse that word, one of our amazing researchers for getting all this for me. By the way, a very good resource for this case is crimetimelines.com. If you go to crimetimelines.com, everything is ordered. Let's get it to load here. This is the case right here. You can see the beautiful little girls, and there is just so much that they have that they have here on the case. So that is a good resource for you. We are going to look at this. Okay, this is the second affidavit of probable cause. It's an updated one, so this is the one that we're going to do. Okay, State of Washington versus Travis Decker. On May 30th, 2025, around 9:34 p.m., Whitney D. Decker arrived in the lobby at the police department. What is the name of this police department? WPD. Now, I can't remember. Wauhatchie? Is that what it is? WPD to report a civil complaint. She advised patrol that her ex-husband, Travis C. Decker, had failed to return their 3 children at 10 p.m. in violation of their agreed-upon and court-ordered parenting plan. Corporal Gonzalez noted Whitney appeared distraught and looked like she had recently been crying. She advised that her and Decker were previously married but have been divorced for several years and have 3 children together. Along with the divorce, the two have had a parenting plan in place, with the most current one issued by a judge September 27, 2024. The current parenting plan limits Decker's visitation to every other weekend, with the specific hours of Fridays from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sundays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The order also specifies no overnight visits, and the visits will only occur in the Wenatchee Valley. Whitney reported that Decker picked up their daughters from her residence on Rosewood Avenue around the scheduled time of 5 p.m., but did not return around 10 p.m. She stated she attempted to call Decker multiple times, but his cell phone goes straight to voicemail, which typical means the cell phone is off or out of service. Whitney expressed concern because Decker reportedly has never done this before, and further noted he is currently experiencing some mental health issues. At the time of the initial report, Whitney explained that Decker does not currently have a stable residence and is considered homeless. He is known to often stay in hotels, motels, or he camps at local campgrounds, but Whitney did not know where to find him. Corporal Gonzalez stated he attempted Decker's cell phone number, but it went straight to voicemail, identifying the cell phone as Decker's. Whitney knows Decker drives a white truck, but was unsure what kind. She, however, noted that he had recently been cited for driving without insurance. Corporal Gonzalez conducted a record search and identified Decker's truck as a 2017 GMC Sierra. He had been in a collision on May 27th and was in fact cited for some infractions following the investigation by WPD Patrol. It also appears he was in another collision on May 4th but left the scene. Call notes say there was no damage to the other vehicle when patrol arrived, and the other driver declined a need for follow-up. Corporal Gonzalez checked Decker's vehicle registration through Flock Safety and found the truck last registered by automatic license plate readers northbound on the Wenatchee Bridge. Flock Safety is something very similar to what we saw in the Madeline Soto case, where not only do they have access to all of the cameras and license plate readers that are connected to the network, but also voluntary businesses and other civilians can add their cameras in as well. It's a pretty good system. So found it on the Wenatchee Bridge at Horse Lake Road northbound at 5:41 p.m. He noted this was likely after Decker picked up his daughters and suspected he may be headed to a hotel or campground in the North End. After the contact with Whitney, Corporal Gonzalez checked all hotels, motels in the city limits as well as the Confluence State Park. And good on him for doing that, right? Taking it serious. While at Confluence, he spoke to a park ranger and was able to check their camping roster. Decker was not listed as staying at any campsite. East Wenatchee PD Officer Conley was contacted and asked to check East Wenatchee hotels, motels for Decker's vehicle. After a search of the area, the vehicle was not found. Given the circumstances, an attempt to locate was initiated for all Valley agencies to be on the lookout for Decker, his vehicle, and the children. Corporal Gonzalez investigated further and consulted with the Washington State Patrol Missing and Endangered Person Unit. He provided the facts of the case to screen for an Amber Alert, but based on the fact there was no current evidence to believe the children were at risk of serious bodily injury or death, it did not qualify. Now, this is what they're talking about when they're talking about the Amber Alert failed them. For that reason, no Amber Alert. Okay? Whitney was advised of the updates and inability to locate the children, Decker, or his vehicle. She was advised to call Rivercom immediately if and when she hears from Decker. On May 31st, there was a large social media presence looking for information into the whereabouts of Decker and the children, and good on Whitney and the family to just hop into action. By the time I saw the social media post, it was clear that Whitney had not been able to contact Decker for over 12 hours. And from WPD's pass down, it was noted that one of the children had an event planned at a local park the morning of that. Decker and the children never showed up for. That was kind of weirdly written, but we get the idea. With a continued concern about the lack of communication from Decker, I met with Whitney at her parents' residence in Wenatchee to get further details. Whitney explained that she and Decker were married for about 7 years, but have since been divorced for a few years. She explained the divorce was civil, and initially Decker had housing and was allowed overnight visits. However, when he lost housing, the parenting plan was readdressed to accommodate accordingly. Whitney denied any DV during their marriage, but did mention moments of power or control he used. She provided the examples of randomly leaving or waking her up by screaming at her in the middle of the night. That might not be some type of control. It might just be mental illness, right? But I mean, that's the way it's written. She also said near the end of the marriage he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder that she believes he currently does not take medications for. While married, Whitney and Decker had 3 children in common. She identified them as 9-year-old Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia Decker. They reportedly have a good relationship with Decker and enjoy their time with him. The overall relationship was reported to be good, and the children enjoy their time with Decker. Whitney also reported no issues with recent visitations and stated her and Decker are communicative with issues surrounding them, and if either will be late for any reason. She reiterated that Decker has never failed to return the kids. The parenting plan provided by Whitney specifies the visitation hours and discusses holiday and birthday considerations. Notable concerns are reasons putting limitations of parenting show Decker has neglected his parental duties and has a long-term emotional or physical problem that gets in the way of his ability to parent. The plan also notes details about access to the children and ability to talk to them via cell phone when needed. Whitney said they agreed to the plan, but the signature line states Decker refused to sign. Decker is also supposed to seek mental health treatment and DV anger management counseling under the parenting plan, but has not. The exchange on Friday night occurred without issues. However, Whitney noted Decker was quieter than usual, which was out of character. She mentioned the recent ticket being a financial burden for him, along with garnished wages due to back child support. She then added that she has been talking about getting rid of his dog, or he has been talking about getting rid of his dog due to housing and further financial concerns. Whitney stated his children and his dog are the 2 big positives in his life. So I can see, little buildups of added stressors to somebody who already has mental illness issues, right? Mental health issues. Whitney also stated when overnight camping trips have been allowed, they have been planned in advance with clear details of the plans. The children also leave with a bag of clothing and appropriate attire to spend the night outdoors. When they left home, they had the clothes on their back. As of June 2nd at 9 a.m., there has been no contact with Decker, and his cell phone continues to go straight to voicemail when called. He has failed to return the children on Friday, May 30th at 10 p.m. He failed to return the children on Saturday, May 31st at 7 p.m. He failed to return the children Sunday, June 1st at 5 p.m. Decker then failed to show up to work this morning, and his boss noted some recent mental health concerns. Given that Decker has failed to return the children when directed and with no open communication from Whitney, it is believed there is an intent to withhold the children permanently from Whitney. And given that he has superposed 3 different scheduled times for return of the children, is believed that he is well past a protracted period of time. So as of the 2nd of June, they thought that he was just keeping the kids. And given that the children left home with no supplies for an extended time, it is believed there's a substantial risk of illness or physical injury. Therefore, there was probable cause to arrest Travis C. Decker for 3 counts of custodial interference in the first degree. And on June 2nd, a warrant for his arrest was requested and later granted by, is it Kellen or Chillen County Superior Court Judge Robert Jordan. In an active attempt to locate Decker and the children, law enforcement utilized a variety of resources and known tools to include cell phone records and timing advance, automatic license plate readers, canvassing the area for security, search of possible locations in the region, and social media. On Monday, June 2nd, a larger and more intensive search was conducted across Chillen County with the help of the sheriff's office and eventually family, friends, and volunteers as people began to learn of the children's disappearance. At around what is that? 3:56 p.m. on June 2nd, Sheriff's Deputy McLeod located Decker's vehicle unoccupied in the area of Rock Island Campground, Leavenworth, Washington, off Icicle Road with the nearest city town of Leavenworth. The campground is located in unincorporated Chelan County in the state of Washington. Law enforcement personnel from Chelan County's, I feel like I'm saying that wrong, and I'm sorry. Let's say from the Sheriff's Office and Wenatchee Police Department, along helicopter support from Homeland Security Investigations converged on the area. Approximately 75 to 100 yards past where the vehicle was located and down a small embankment, Sheriff's deputies located the bodies of 3 school-aged children. Due to current safety concerns, the scene preservation, the bodies have yet to be approached, but there are some clear signs of lividity. Each has a plastic bag over the head. Based on the totality of the circumstances, including the proximity to the vehicle and visible attire of the bodies, which is consistent with the clothing the children were wearing when they were transferred to Decker for visitation, they are presumed to be Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker. Decker's location is currently unknown, and there is currently a coordinated effort to search the immediate area, if not further, for him, so the scene we have can be searched. Around the vehicle and along the way to where the children are located, officers, deputies located zip ties and plastic bags strewn throughout the area. The tailgate of the pickup truck also has what appears to be 2 handprints of blood. The truck has personal items to include blankets, car seats, food, miscellaneous items, and a wallet on the center console. During the search of the area, an abandoned camp was located at nearby in the approximate area of this longitude and latitude with signs of recent activity. The camp consists of a fire pit, tent, and cooler, and within a short walk from where the vehicle and bodies were located. Cell phone records, Decker's cell phone acquired Saturday under exigency, show that Decker likely traveled to the area on Thursday the 29th evening and returned to Wenatchee Friday morning. Under the totality of the situation, it appears that Decker drove through the area the night prior and returned the next day with the children. Preliminary examination suggests the likely cause of death was asphyxiation. Their wrists were also zip-tied and show signs of being zip-tied. They were also positively identified as Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia by the coroner. There's probable cause to arrest Travis C. Decker for 3 counts of murder in the first degree and 3 counts of kidnapping in the first degree, which will make it aggravated. I doubt Washington State has a DP. I don't know that for sure, but that is where we are, okay? So let's go over to what you guys are saying, and then we're going to watch the video that I told you about in the beginning. So let me get this all set up here. Get over to your comments here. And you just have to be patient with me while I scroll. Lori calls it devastating, and boy, is it. This sounds like a case of retaliatory filicide to me. Decker thought of his ex was going to keep him from the girls. She couldn't have them either. I wonder about that, because the way it was described, it just seemed like he had added pressures to an already, what would we call this? A situation where a desperate situation. The added pressures of a desperate situation. He was obviously experiencing mental crises. He talked about maybe having to give up his dog, the dog being one of the 2 great things in his life. It does appear, at least from the affidavit of probable cause and the statement from Whitney's lawyer earlier, that he loved his girls. He was a good dad. But maybe he was just, and it almost sounds like he knew that he was having an episode and wanted to seek help but couldn't get it. So I don't know that he was retaliating. Respectfully, Susan, I'm not sure if it was retaliatory, but great comment and certainly worth thinking about it. I don't know if there were substances involved in his life either. I don't know that. I mean, there's not been any indication that I have found. It seems to me that he just was unable to cope with life as a um, as a veteran and somebody who had likely seen some very, very disturbing things. So tough, man. So tough. My goodness. Just keep on scrolling. Emily 53. Apparently Decker can live with himself because he's on the run. Yeah, that is an interesting thing, right? That he, that he's not so disturbed by what he did, or I should say reportedly or allegedly, that he's willing to make a run for it. However, I mean, if we're going to offer up some grace here, that also could be some kind of side effect of his mental health crisis. Robin Bernard says, I think Travis Decker had something that broke terribly in his mind. Yeah. Let's see. Ooh, Robin. I had an OB who helped hundreds of women bring high-risk pregnancies to a successful outcome. She started to act odd, and it took a couple of years, but she ended up ending her son. Yeah, and there's just no way to know, what the ending is going to... Well, I guess, statistically there are ways to know. In that case, Robin, it seems like there were some red flags. And I like... No, I'm sitting here going, the comment about there were no red flags. Were there any red flags that I read in there about their relationship, their parenting plan? No, it just seemed like they had changed it up because he didn't have a home. They couldn't do overnights. He had no home. And it did seem like he had taken them camping before, so, oh man. Wow. Robin, she was my friend as well. I would have bet the world that she would never harm a hair on her son's head. Yeah, it's just so hard to know what... Deborah says, is this a new sighting today or the same one from a while back? It was reported today, but it happened a few days before. We're going to get to it. Courtney says, the lawyer saying there were no red flags is wrong in my opinion, I guess. He was talking about getting rid of his beloved dogs, snapping at the girls more frequently, reckless decision-making. I haven't read anything about snapping at the girls, but the dogs thing, yeah. I don't know. They're just, like Robin said, sometimes you're just like, I never would have seen that coming. Let me just get a couple more. Leslie Ann, Gavin, I can see him doing it in retaliation that his life went downhill after the divorce. Now she took even more time away from him seeing his kids. I mean, possibly, but that happened back in September. Of course, they could build and build and build. Yeah, that's possible. Thanks, Mooney, for gifting those memberships. You're awesome. Mooney says Washington State does not have DP. It was removed in 2023. Yeah. Susan, thank you very much for gifting memberships. Siren says it's pronounced with the CH like an SH. So Shallan. Okay. I'll have to listen to somebody say it. Thank you for that. Okay. All right. Let's go over to the old video, shall we? All right. So this was reported yesterday in the afternoon at KING 5 Seattle. And let's just go ahead and have a listen. I think it is, yeah, it's like 2.5 minutes long. We're going to go back there. And as far as the volume, guys, on this, I didn't bump up this volume. What I've actually tried to do is bring down my volume because I've been going back and looking at some of my old stuff. I'm a little hot. I'm clipping and stuff like that. So I've been pulling my volume back a little bit. So it should match okay. All right, here we go.
Yeah, Joyce, there was a moment last week when search crews thought that they might have had Travis Decker in their sights. Now, this happened right here near Kolchak Lake, and that's in the Enchantments. Investigators got a tip of a lone hiker that seemed out of place, and Sheriff Morrison says that teams jumped on that lead. They did have a Washington Air National Guard helicopter that was in that area when crews spotted someone that was off trail, and they didn't have any of the typical gear you'd expect. No snow gear, no backpack, and walking a route that just really didn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, unfortunately, Sheriff Morrison says the timing there was not on their side, so they did have that helicopter circling in this area, but they had to turn back to refuel. And when they did come back, they picked up the track again here.
Hey guys, by the way, getting fuel in an aircraft is a little bit more than just pulling into the station and getting fuel. I mean, it's not much more. It's not crazy. However, it's not like you can just go to the closest gas station and get fuel. So that does kind of suck. I mean, that is one of the things about aviation is that you are limited by how much fuel you have, right? And that sucks that they had to go back and fuel up at an FBO or wherever it is that they were flying out of. So yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, had they not had to refuel, they may have been able to stay on this guy.
Notice that that person took a very unusual path down here into Ingalls Creek, and I want to let you know that that's a steep descent of about 4,500 feet from Kolchak down, and it's not actually even a trail. It's a lot of bushwhacking and third, fourth class rock climbing. Morrison says that all of that immediately raised suspicions.
Holy cow. So in a short period of time, descending 4,300 feet by basically boondocking, that is somebody with skills in doing that. That's crazy.
Just the route that he went back down into Ingalls Creek certainly caused us to think this isn't normal. And so we started tracking through that. And again, I couldn't say it was Mr. Decker, but certainly it was an individual that would not have taken the typical route that most would utilize when they're going through there.
Investigators searched that area for a while, and now this is where they believe that he could be. So they believe that he pushed in this direction, which would have gone up Longs Pass to Turnpike Creek. This area connects to Kittitas County, and that's all through this Teanaway Fork Trail. And that would essentially maybe put him out somewhere near towards Cle Elum. Morrison says that that county's sheriff has units on the ground that are searching all of this Teanaway area and up Liberty.
Eventually, he's going to get tired. He's going to make a mistake. He's going to leave something behind. He's going to make an error. And I can tell you that every single person wearing a uniform in this state is going to be there waiting for him to make that mistake.
And I want to zoom back out here just to show you all of the areas that we've tracked Decker to. So he started at the Rock Island campground, made his way to Kolchak Lake, and then potentially down here towards the Teanaway Fork Trail. From Rock Island to Kolchak, that's roughly 20 miles, and then this is another 20-mile span. So again, we're talking about a lot of area here, but the sheriff says that they will not give up this search. Joyce?
Thanks so much, Bridget.
Man, he is moving quickly. That's actually pretty darn impressive. Let's go over to your comments. One comment that came in that caught my attention didn't have GF on it, but says from CalGal, I spent my entire career in the veteran system. Services have been in crisis for years. Endless bureaucracy, so many hoops the vets had to jump through to qualify. It's awful. Yeah. Like, I mean, this is just anecdotal, but my dad's a veteran. He does not deal with VA at all. Nope, never has. And so, I mean, it's just way better to have private insurance. And fortunately, because of his career path, he was able to have that. So yeah, that's that. I'm very sorry about that. Calgal also says, unfortunately, Travis planned this. He didn't snap. That does it feels planned. It definitely feels planned. I mean, he has the plastic bags. He has the zip ties. He drove out there the night before. Yeah, it does. It does. Plus, he's been camping this whole time. He's probably very good at it. Tina asks, does anyone think that he may have done the ultimate to himself? I don't know that. Emily 53 says, Rangers must know that area and they can surround him. The thing about that kind of area, though, is that, yeah, you could be surrounded by 20 people in a big circle, and there are still giant gaps. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. Hey, B Concilio, I'm looking at my sound levels, and they are, I mean, they're pretty equal, but I mean, I'm sorry. Tina says our veterans should have top-notch care and resources, and I think that is true. So, guys, that's what we have. This is the first video on this case. We will keep an eye on it. My crack squad of amazing volunteers will help me keep our finger on the pulse on this. As there is information, we will bring it to you. You know what? It's Friday. Now, for those on the live, it matters. Those on the rewatch crew, I don't know when it is for you. But I'm going to take a break. This is my first week back after we had our trip out to London for CrimeCon. And this was a long, hard week for me. I'm going to be doing some aviation this weekend, which is pretty great. But yeah, I woke up this morning, by the way, full on thinking that it was Saturday morning. I was taking it nice and easy, and I ended up being late to work because I went, it's Friday. So anyway, we won't be back tomorrow. We won't be back Sunday, but we will be back on Monday. Every weeknight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we do a live stream. So please join us. If you're on the live, have yourself a terrific weekend. If you're on the rewatch crew, you just have yourself a terrific whatever. Guys, always remember that you can find me on my website, gavinfish.com. I did notice after yesterday, several of you are availing yourselves of the old Cluvelta merch, since Cluvelta is a sponsor of the program. Might I also maybe interest you in a little dill hole merch? Just a little dill hole merch. If you don't have your dill hole coffee mug, I mean, can you even be happy? I don't know. But anyway, merch on the site. Also, you can contact me on the site by clicking on this button and filling out this form. I get everything. If you want to join my crack squad of volunteers, this is how you can reach out here. You just choose the old, I'd like to be a volunteer, and that's how you do that. Also, if you'd like to hang out with us on Facebook, click on this little link. That will take you over to, for some reason it was not on, there we go. Hold on. It'll take you over to the fish tank where 4,000 of us hang out on Facebook. If that's your thing, you're invited. It's an open invitation. You don't have to do it now. You can do it anytime. Okay? Oh, one last thing, guys. Do you see this little support me button? I want you to click on that. I want you to visit the site. I want you to click on this. And then I want you to scroll on down to the bottom and buy our lead mod a coffee. Autumn is amazing. Please support her if you can. Okay, I'm just babbling. It's the PA ramble. I got to stop it. I bid you a fond weekend. and I will see you on Monday at 7:30 p.m. Until then, I bid you adieu, and we'll see you then. Take care of yourselves. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.